Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are playing Golem, the rock ground type. Now Golem has 80 in attack, or I'm sorry, 80 in HP, 110 in attack, 130 in defense, 45 in speed, 55 in special. So we have a total of 420. So compared to Golem, we have a much better base stat total to work with. Now, Golem actually has 30 more attack points than Doug Trio with its 80, so hopefully we are able to make use of that, and hopefully it'll come in handy. So, we start off here with Tackle and Defense Curl. Not really that great. I mean, we do have a move that can kind of badge boost off of, but outside of that, well, we're clearly obviously going to lose points on Brock because the next move we get is Rock Throw, but that's not until level 16, so that won't make even a difference anyway because it'll be quad resisted because the ground type does resist rock type moves, so that would be completely useless. And we don't have access to any ground type moves until after we not defeat, but get to Bill and get the ticket so we can get to Dig. But we're not going to be able to access that for Brock, so we're just going to have to smash through him with Tackle. We're going to have to tackle his rocks to take them down. That's all we're going to have. But we are, like I said, we are able to bolster our defenses. That gives us something to use whenever Onyx goes for Bide. So we can kind of bolster our defenses because it'll try to use Screech, I'm sure, and kind of get our defenses lowered. So, I mean, at least we can go into this. We shouldn't have any trouble actually winning the fight. It's just going to be a little tedious. It's going to kind of take a little bit of time just because we're going to have to use an ineffective 35 base power move on rock types. So, like I said, yeah, we're just going to have to go for Tackle. I could set up some defense curls on the Geodude, but honestly, Geodude's only doing 1 damage. It's not going to make a difference, so there's really no point to it. So we're just going to tackle Geodude until it's down. We're going to do the same thing for Onyx. Now that it's going for Bide, we'll go for the defense curls. It's not going to make a difference. Onyx has terrible attack, so it's only going to be doing 1 damage anytime it uses Tackle or Bind. So I'm not really worried about it. But when it goes for Bide, just so we don't have to essentially do damage to ourselves, because it's taking all the damage that we're doing and dealing it back, we just go for defense curl. That way we just minimize the amount of damage that we end up taking. But as you can see, it's not a hard fight. It's just, obviously it's going to take a while because Onyx is pretty good, has pretty good defenses. So it's just going to take us a while since we're using a 17 effective power normal type move against a rock type where it's not effective at all. So yeah, that's pretty much Brock. So we do get through that fight. However, we are going to take 8 points deduction. So instead of a 33, we will get a 25 on Brock. And now we've got the water type specialist Misty coming up, which obviously should cause problems for us because, I mean, her water type moves are going to be 4 times effective. There's that, and then there's the fact that Golem is slow. So there's likely not going to be a way for me to outspeed Misty at the level cap, which means I'm going to have to get lucky. The only good thing here, I do get access to Body Slam with Golem, so it will be essential because I'm kind of going to need the paralysis to kick in. Either that or maybe, you know, the X defends, some kind of a way to allow me to get an extra turn, because honestly, Bubble Beam will probably always one-hit KO. I might be able to survive the water gun, but Bubble Beam, Stab, super effective Bubble Beam, I don't think so. But let's see. Good news, at least I do barely outspeed the Staryu, sorry, and we do get the one-shot KO. And as you can see there, a water gun takes me all the way down to 33 HP, so that obviously means I'm not going to be able to survive the bubble beam. So we're going to reset here. Essentially, we don't have any other strategy that we can use. The best luck that we can get is really just getting that paralysis that we could get our second attack in, because it does look like we would be able to hit a 2-shot range here. So we do actually get lucky here. We get the X defend first turn, we paralyze with body slam, and then Starmie goes for water gun instead of bubble beam. So we are able to get through that there. But I do think that is a pretty lucky scenario there. I think most of the times you're probably going to lose. So I'm going to deduct 10 points there. We're going to give Golem a 23 out of 33 for Misty. Just because I think honestly, you probably, if we did that 10 times, probably wouldn't win more than 30-40% of those. Because to get that specific luck there, yeah. So next up, we've got Surge. Now that I get access to Dig, like I mentioned in the last video, once you get Dig, I mean, so what is Surge to you? You have a super effective ground type move. As long as you just get a Pokemon that can use it, I mean, what is Surge going to do? I mean, if you have a ground type, his electric type moves aren't going to do anything. We have a rock type, which is, you know, counters his normal type moves. So Mega Punch, Mega Kick aren't going to do anything. So what does he have? You go X speed, we go Dig, it goes Mega Punch and misses, and we one-hit KO, just like that. Man, Surge, they did you so dirty in this game by just kind of not giving you anything, man. Gave you bad AI, and you only have one Pokemon. What is that, man? There's a lot of decisions that Game Freak made that I'm just like, why did you guys do it like this? I was always curious, like, who else in the series, the entire series, has one Pokemon on their team? I don't, at least from what I can remember, I don't think there's any other gym leaders who only have one Pokemon. So, but now we have to worry about Erica. That's going to be a tough one, I'd say. Grass types, but we do, like I said, we will be able to get access to Earthquake, and I do believe her Pokemon actually aren't that quick. So let's hop into it and let's see how that goes. So I was correct here. Her Pokemon are slow. We do outspeed all of them. Oh, man. Massive Vine Whip. I don't really know why I clicked hard in there. I don't know what I clicked that for. Man, those Vine Whips are hitting insanely hard. So I get past it with a Rock Slide, and I'm just going to go Dig for the Weeping Belt and the Gloom. With our attack stat where it is just enough to take care of Erica. So really the real threat there was Tangela, the pure grass type, because our ground type moves are not going to affect it. Luckily we had a Rock Slide that did come through for us and help us get that win on the first try. So on Erica, we will get a score of 37 out of 37. That's pretty good. We can now make our way some more through the game. We do need to pick up Earthquake before we take on Koga. We are getting ready to learn it by level up. Actually, we learned that here in just a few levels. So maybe I can just keep the TM for Earthquake as a backup, since I do learn it by level before I even get to Koga. So not as late as, you know, Doug Trio learns Earthquake. So I can just pick this up in a few levels, and then we can head over and we can take on Koga and his bug poison types, where, as we saw last video in Doug Trio's case, ground type moves are more than enough to take care of them, because they don't have anything that really would deal us any damage for real. So we're just going to go Earthquake now that we have it, and that's going to take care of the first Venonat. In come the second one. That is also going to be a one-shot. Like I said, they don't have good defense, so we're going to one-shot all three of his Venonats, and Venomoth realistically would be the only one that would be able to survive here. I went for Rock Slide because it had higher power, but it really wouldn't have made a difference. So into Sabrina, right into it. Basically, I decided to just go ahead and splice all these 3 fights together because they're all pretty easy. There's really nothing to see here. I mean, Golem, even without being able to outspeed, we just make quick work of Sabrina. And of course, Blaine can't do anything here against me. I've got Stab, super effective Earthquake with a 300 effective power. I mean, with our attack stat, his fire types, I mean, we do get the Reflect setup, but we're still going to get a 2-shot range there. No burn, nothing to worry about. That'll take care of 3 gems all in one. So for those gems, obviously, perfect scores. 41 for Koga, 37 for Sabrina, 37 for Blaine. Nothing to worry about there. We've just got Giovanni left. And yeah, having the rock typing does make us weak to ground. So as I mentioned last video, how Giovanni has 3 ground types, weak to ground. It's funny. We also have a ground type that is weak to ground. I never thought about giving Giovanni Golem, but the problem with that, I think that just makes him a little bit more vulnerable because he then has 2 Pokemon that are 4 times super effective against grass and water. So I think you're better off just giving him a Sand Slash, where Sand Slash is only 2 times weak instead of 4. But this could give us a challenge. We are slow, so this could pose a problem. Let's see. So the Doug Trio does outspeed, and it does hit us with an Earthquake, but that's fine. I was aware of that, and I did go ahead and set up a Harden, just kind of, you know, that is a good thing. We are weak to ground moves, but we also have great physical defense to make up for it. So I did Harden, badge boost our stats here. I did get a Gen 1 miss, but Giovanni went for the guard spec. So we do one-shot both the Nido Queen and Nido King. Rhydon, we're going to hit not quite a one-shot, but it goes for guard spec, and that's going to get us through Giovanni. Now, obviously, I still had 2 more damage rounding thresholds to work with, all the way up to 55, but we did not need them in that case. I think getting up to 55, we can definitely win this without problem, especially with Harden to set up, bolster our defenses. So that's going to be a 45 out of 45 on Giovanni. Now we've got Lorelei, and as I feel like I've mentioned like every single video, Lorelei, for the most part, going to give us trouble today. We've got a 4 times weakness to water, so yeah, that could cause us some issues. So let's see. Now we do have Rock Slide, and I did decide to teach Fire Blast. I you know, with Cloyster's defenses being so high, even though we have a bad special stat, I thought maybe that Fire Blast would do something here. It was a little bit underwhelming, I'll be honest. Even though it is neutral, it's just we don't have a good special stat, so we can't really make it feel as strong as it otherwise would be on like a fire type, where we have Stab and, you know, our special stats higher. So obviously it's kind of a matter of, there's a little bit of strategy involved here, but in this case, I think it's more just luck because we have Rock Slide, and Rock Slide is 90% accurate. We also have Fire Blast, 85% accurate. So this isn't really too much of a strategic fight. It's how many tries until I can get the luck I need to get me through this fight, because we're essentially already at level cap. Going up to 56, not going to make a huge difference. We are in the medium slow growth rate, so I mean, we could level up off of a full team, but just to be safe, that way we don't go over in any other fights. We just keep it at 55, right at a nice damage rounding threshold. But unfortunately, we don't outspeed the Jinx, so that's a problem. But it does look like we can one-shot the Dugong. But unfortunately, once we get hit with Clamp, it's essentially, that's kind of probably not gonna get past the Cloister, and even if you do, you're taking massive damage. So at that point, I'm kind of just resetting. If Cloister goes for Clamp, you kind of just go for the reset. You definitely want to see Ice Beam over that. It's probably the better. The only thing is there, you don't want to get frozen. So Slowbro setting up Withdrawal, not going for Surf, which is helping me out. Speed Tie with Jinx, and I do miss Rock Slide, unfortunately, and then I lose the Speed Tie on the next turn. So I decide to go ahead and go up to 56, but I'm still at a Speed Tie with the Jinx, unfortunately. So if I do want to outspeed, I'm going to have to find somewhere to set up a use of Harden to get past the Jinx, because I know that if I can outspeed the Jinx and hit a Rock Slide, even an Earthquake would probably take it down. So that's the unfortunate thing, Jinx just being having a little bit of speed on it. So that's essentially where we're kind of getting stuck at now. I do win the Speed Tie, and of course Rock Slide hits and takes down Jinx. Now we go for Rock Slide on the Lapras, almost take it down, and Lorelei decides to use a Super Potion. So we get through Lorelei without taking any damage. Isn't that something? That's the way to beat Lorelei when you have a massive type disadvantage. Not take a single hit of damage. So anyway, into Bruno. We make quick easy work of the Onix. And it's going to be the same for the Hitmonchan and the Hitmonlee. They don't really have anything here to mess us up. The second Onix is going to be the same thing. Critical hit, Earthquake. Machamp, submission could hurt pretty bad, but it goes for strength for some reason. Really bad idea. But we take care of Bruno. Now Agatha, obviously her Pokemon outspeed. Gengar's going to hit a massive Mega Drain, taking us all the way down to 35 HP. We do one-shot it once we connect with Earthquake. Rock Slide on the Golbat is going to one-shot. Now we just need to get past the Haunter and the Arbok, which aren't any problems, but the final Gengar does outspeed. And we do go down to its use of Psychic. So back in here again. This time, Gengar's going to go for Lick and paralyze us, but that's way better than getting hit by Mega Drain. So we come through, and we're here at Golbat. We are paralyzed. Actually, she swaps out of Golbat, and I hit the Haunter with Rock Slide. One-hit KO it, and then one-hit KO the Golbat when it comes back in. Arbok just goes for Acid. I hit it with Earthquake. And on to the last Gengar. It's going to hit me with Psychic. Does decent damage, drops my special, and I'm paralyzed. And then we get hit with Confuse Ray. We knock out the confusion, but we are still paralyzed. We get hit with Confuse Ray again, but we bypass both confusion and paralysis and take out the Gengar. Now, into Gyarados. Rock Slide. We one-shot. We do outspeed here, surprisingly. We outspeed. So, Rock Slide one-shots the Gyarados. Earthquake one-shots both Dragonair. And we are on to Aerodactyl that outspeeds us. We're going to go for Rock Slide. It hits us with Wing Attack. That doesn't do anything. Aerodactyl has nothing really to hit us with, and that will one-shot the Aerodactyl. Dragonite, Rock Slide. We outspeed. It hits us. It hits a Blizzard. Takes us down to 90 HP. Now we just need to hit Rock Slide. And we do connect. And we take down Lance pretty easily. So coming out of the Elite Four, our scores 35 for Lorelei. Yep, 35 for Lorelei, 45 for Bruno, 45 for Agatha, 45 for Lance. And now it's time for the champion. So, will we have trouble here? Potentially. I know that Executor can always cause problems. And I don't think Fire Blast will quite be enough to take care of Executor because we don't have that greatest special. But we also don't have really any physical moves outside of Rock Slide that would be worth anything. So that's going to be something that we're just going to have to wait and see. But we're going to head in here to the Champions Room, greet our rival, because we are getting ready for the final showdown. Man, the rival always getting beat by my solo challenge Pokemon. He's really not that good, is he? Now we start off against the Sandslash, and honestly, I'm not really too scared of it. I imagine, yeah, obviously we don't one-hit KO, So we're going to have a 2-hit. I think you could be safe setting up Hardens on the Sand Slash. The only thing you don't want to see there is just critical hits. So I do go for Rock Slide on the Exeggutor. It does about half. That's fine. Fire Blast, I didn't really see what it would have done, but I imagined it wasn't going to do that much damage. We did get hit with Leech Seed, and we are confused. Not a very good combo. We snap out of confusion, one-shot the Magneton. In comes the Vaporeon. We hit it with Earthquake. Not quite enough to take it down, and we fall to its use of Aurora Beam. So now we're coming back in here against the Sand Slash. For whatever reason, I went for Fire Blast. Looking back on this footage, I think I was trying to get a burn, and I do get the burn because I'm thinking if I get a burn, I get a burn, but it hits a critical hit Earthquake, taking me down to 38 HP. Unfortunate. And then we cut back. We had got pretty good all the way to Vaporeon, and we get taken down. So I finally get a run here where I get the burn and minimize a lot of Sand Slash's damage. So I take that, I take the advantage here, and I set up a bunch of Hardens all the way to +6, and I still have 140 HP. That's slightly more than half, and end up letting the burn damage take a lot of Sand Slash's HP away. Now that I've set up all the way to Harden, I outspeed everything. A Fire Blast is enough to one-shot the Exeggutor. Earthquake on the Ninetales will take it down. Earthquake on the Magneton will take it down. And lastly, all we've got to do is hit Vaporeon with an Earthquake. Not quite enough. We get hit with a Hydro Pump, and that will take us down. That's really unfortunate. I can't believe that Earthquake did not take down the Vaporeon. So coming back in here, we had a critical hit Fire Blast on the Sand Slash, take it down. Now we have not gotten the chance to set up any Hardens, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Now, due to that, Fire Blast is no longer a one-shot. That's actually going to be a 2-hit range. We do get hit with Leech Seed and Confuse Ray from the Ninetales, unfortunately, but we do end up snapping out of Confusion. Earthquake on the Ninetales and the Magneton to take them both down. Earthquake on the Vaporeon. It is not enough to take it down, but we get hit with Aurora Beam and we get a second chance. Earthquake connects one more time and we take down the champion at level 63. So not a bad performance out of Golem. It struggled a little bit, but I think it performed better than Dugtrio despite being slower. It had more attack, which did help against in the areas that Dugtrio struggled in. So let's take a look at Golem's bonus stats. Or bonus points, rather. I don't know how to say bonus stats. I think of base stats and bonus points. I always get it mixed up. But anyway, 16 for coverage, -14 for weaknesses, 18 for resistances, +2 for finish level, and +1 for base stats. This is for the rock typing. So Golem in the rock typing is going to get a score of 511 out of 583 for a percentage score of 87.65%. That'll place it into the B tier right behind Aerodactyl. And now when we look at the ground type, for base stats, Golem will get +6. So for the score amongst the ground typings, we'll get a score of 516 out of 583 for a percentage score of 88.51%. And that will slot Golem just in front of Dugtrio. Now when we look at all 151 Pokemon, take a look at Golem. We're going to get 15 extra points for base stats, or 15 base stats. So that'll add a little bit more to our score. So we'll end up, when we filter for all 151 Pokemon, we'll get a score of 525 out of 583 for a percentage score of 90.05%. And would you look at that? We have Golem slotting its way at the very end of the A tier. Isn't that something? We go from B tier and all the other finishes. Now we have A tier. Now this was carried. It got pulled up by its base stats. That's what put it in the A tier. Still probably won't be a finalist for the hardcore challenge if we're just being honest. But it still did really good and ended up with an A tier finish. Really good job. You barely made the cut, but you got in there, Golem. So great run. Really great. I'm very surprised to see Golem in the A tier. Next up on the list, we have Lapras. That should be a pretty good run. Lapras has a lot of coverage, so we should have a good run there. Stay tuned, and I will see you guys there.